Tenement who have never chosen. They are those who actively suppress the essence that they were born with, essentially.
But they do get to choose.
Yeah, basically.
Probably as much as witches of personality.
It's not that easy, but it's possible.
So in that vein, if a red dragon decided suddenly that he wanted to live like a wilder, would he change color possibly? Like if he, kind of, maybe not like live as a wilder, but like if he wanted to, basically if a red dragon like had a complete change of personality, would his color change eventually too?
Yes, but that change of personality usually doesn't come from a straight up decision, because a tentative of a specific essence would never have the incentive or the... But if something major happened, then that might prompt a change, yes.
You did cut off for a while from me anyway.
Oh, did I cut off? Hello?
For me it was just a moment.
Yeah, you did for a second. You lagged out a minute ago, but you're good now.
Okay.
Cool.
What I was saying is that the change usually isn't just a decision, it's mostly caused by some major event.
Like anyone's personality, really, Just that theirs are reflected.
Just wear it on you can, in fact, judge them on their looks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's a black tail, he probably has a little bit of deceit in him.
Yep, probably. I mean, he is leading us to my town. Probably.
Froze off the paint. Finally!
Although I don't think he's...
Although you would also know that he used to live in the Fenwood, and it's usually not the copper tenant who live here.
Do dragons have surnames? Would his father and mother have been known as the Mr. and Mrs. Blacktail, or?
No, they basically only have one name and then usually a title of sorts.
Okay.
Interesting.
He can lead on. He knows where we're going. Following the road. We're gonna get him there, and then we're gonna get paid, and then It was a zombie problem, I understand.
Well, among other things.
The winding road to Mayadan. You do eventually reach what seems to be the outskirts of Mayadan after a couple days more walking through the dense forest here. The town itself has pretty much a big gatehouse, essentially, but not exactly a wall. The forest itself really provides enough of a wall that any city would ever need, so unless you want to take another detour through the forest, you would have to go through the gate. On the plus side, however, the gate does seem to be open, essentially. There are a couple people there, but it doesn't seem to be completely blockaded. There are no archer squads waiting for your arrival. It seems to be pretty much just normal business.
Graham would like to walk up first, basically, just towards the gate. There's probably someone there who's gonna be like, "Halt! Who goes there?" or something like that.
That does indeed happen. It does look like the gate is rather big with two barrack-like buildings on either side, but there's only very few people actually at the gate. But those that are do come out to meet you. I don't have a map for this, so let's just move it here.
Dun, 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 dun.
Two friendly-looking, lightly armed people, each wielding a sort of hooked spear. And as Graham approaches with the Elderling, one of them looks very shocked for a moment, starts pointing his spear at Graham, and basically goes, "Oi! What's this then? There wasn't anyone supposed to come to Mayadan any time, and that thing is not supposed to come
We go where we must. We've heard there is a problem with the dead rising. We had to solve that issue." Sort of looks to the Elderling, as it bows. Says, "Do not mind our stature. Not all of the dead are as chaotic as some."
He mumbles something loud enough for Graham to hear the words. solving the situation by bringing more, but
Anrakyn smiles and steps forward. What my grim friend tries to say, my gentleman, is that we are somewhat of experts in the field, and we have come to pledge our expertise in destroying and hunting the undead to the cause of Maiton. I am Anrakyn the Traveler, and this is Graham.
well, I suppose suit yourselves. If you're looking for work, then I suppose you've come to the right place, but I don't know if anyone is going to pay you for taking care of this problem.
No, why not?
Because those with money have probably already decided that this is a lost cause.
Well, you gentlemen are here, and surely you're being paid by someone.
Sure, but shrugs. Suppose you can join the militia, but
Wonderful.
pay isn't exactly.
Where do we sign up?
Well, suppose follow me. His companion steps to the side.
Anrakyn winks at Graham.
As Jax,
Everyone, let's get in the city.
as Jax will actually stop you before you get to the gate proper. The militiaman looking slightly annoyed at this hold up, but he says, "Well, you've done your job, and I wanted to give you your pay."
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes.
He hands out, as he did in Lonebridge, a pouch for each, keeping one with himself, looking rather sad as his expression says that he's thinking about fancy.
Well, our job is not quite done yet.
Was it 25 gold, or was it 50?
25.
Okay.
25.
Ka-ching. Was there something else on your mind, Jax?
Well, suppose I'll go looking for Eisenbell now, but he shrugs.
We are here after all. Perhaps we could accompany you?
At least stay in the same tavern. If anything happens, you can contact us, and we would be more than happy to be hired on again, right? He looks around.
If you don't have the money right now, we can make a contract and work out payment method.
He frowns but nods. Yes, let's just get inside and find her.
Gil will not.
All right. Let's go in the city.
Follow me then. The militiaman will lead the way, swaggering.
Okay. They are very proud of being militia.
I'm about to get a sign-on bonus.
In organized crime city, being with the authority is generally a good job.
I guess.
You get to bully people and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Maiton
They probably have to grovel before dragon.
So far, just looking at the masses of people crowding the city itself behind the gates, not too many to them around. In fact, not really any. There's maybe one that is like in the entryway of some building, but there's very few. Far fewer than in most cities, really. There are, however, just many people in general. Like the somewhat ramshackle looking buildings, besides the hardened dirt roads, they are just full with people. There are also the occasional militia, not exactly servants, but armed men who seem to at least think that they have some sort of authority, kind of trying to boss the crowd around, really. But it's very hard to actually get a good grasp of this city, because the only thing you can really see are people.
I mean, we are men, so...
Yeah, the crowds certainly avoid you, especially avoiding Edeling, who causes the occasional stir. Sure. Most of the militiamen also looking questioningly worried, but you are being led by one of their own who seems to know what he's doing, or at least knows how to look like he knows what he's doing. So they leave you alone. Jax is just trying to look everywhere, essentially. With all these people, it's hard for him probably to find the person he's looking for, but he's trying. The militiaman does eventually lead you into a less ramshackle-looking building. A large wooden building that seems to be, well, more straight than most of the other buildings and doesn't seem like it would collapse at any moment, with a proper rock foundation, not just built on top of the swamp. Even with a proper door, even with amazing looking locks, something that Dimezz might immediately recognize, or something. And the insides of the building are very much in contrast to the outside, or rather to the city outside. The city itself looks like a random collection of wooden buildings, most not that properly constructed, but the inside of this particular building, high quality, like mirrored wooden floors, looking like you could eat from them, with like carpets and even like marble decoration and like thin gold layers on everything. It looks like the lobby of a bank, essentially, to the point where there's even a small desk with a secretary, to which the militiaman leading you is going to go. He will tell you to essentially wait in the entryway, and he'll go to the secretary.
Wait in the entryway? All right, Graham will look a little indignant, but do as told. Looking around, standing here with his big fur cloak and long axe and glowing eyes.
Well, you can look in. That's more than most people get.
Gil is actually going to ask Jax, what is this place?
Well, honestly, I'm not entirely sure. I'm assuming it's some sort of government thing.
So you haven't been in Myrton for long.
I don't think I've ever been in Myrton, to be quite honest.
Okay.
I lived in the Fenwood, and then when I met Eisenbelt, we left. So we went through Lonebridge and visited most of the towns, but never to Myrton, really.
Mm. I see.
It does not take long for the militiamen to return. The secretary has also left and then come back and given like a document to the man, who brings that document now to you. See, presents it to you, carrying a rather fine-looking pen in the other hand, handing it to you in general. Says, I suppose you just sign here, and then you're in the militia for 5 years. He smiles.
Well, Graham.
Well, since 5 years is nothing. But do these contracts have stipulation for what happens if you die during duty?
Well, it's the standard contract for Myrton for most of the jobs, really. It's one big system, you see. You get... He points at a paragraph in the document. You get this much pay, but actually you get this much, and most of the pay gets put into a savings account, and if you die, that saving account can go to a person of your choosing.
He looks to the Ederling and says, what if they die repeatedly?
I think if you try to cheat the contract, then dying might be the least thing you might want to worry about.
Regardless,
Contracts are at least
here.
These militia contracts are at least better than the ones for the fishery, because the saving account goes to a person and it doesn't just expire. So it's really a good deal.
We'll consider it. Let's see him brush him off. So go outside.
He shrugs, looking very annoyed, having gone through all this trouble.
That's fine. You can be as annoyed as you want to.
Well, suit yourselves.
Gil instead is gonna address him and ask, well, regardless if we join your militia or not, I suppose it's still to your benefit if we try to fix your undead problem. If you could point us to the source.
He raises an eyebrow. Sure, plenty of soldiers have already went into the lakeside district, but he shrugs. If you want to find the mist, just, head out into the lake. Easy enough to find.
And another matter, he's looking at Zax right now. Perhaps you may be aware of a certain Taninim in the area. Zax, if you could provide a description for the good man.
Jax will in fact do so, saying that, well, I'm looking for Eisenbell, who's about this tall, and he kind of holds a claw lower than almost as high as Dimezz, essentially, a little bit higher. She looks kind of like me, but more feathery, and she has beautiful eyes. The militiaman frowns, shrugs. Couple of gentlemen around, I suppose I can look around, but there's so many. This is not my job, I'm afraid.
Gil is gonna add, and of course, if you are fruitful in that research, there may be some coin for you.
Smile slightly at that. Suppose I can keep a lookout.
Okay then, let's join Graham outside.
And you stand here looking at people, being stared at, I guess.
Yeah, the people here are mostly dressed in as muted colors as the entire city is, mostly browns and greens, from clothing that mostly doesn't really look like cloth or wool or anything like that, but like large dried leaves almost, long as if that was some sort of, those underwater plants essentially that, like, not algae, what's the word?
Kelp.
Kelp, yeah. Kind of like that. The smell of the general area might support that hypothesis. It's very much fish, basically.
Strong smell of fish. Well, that's nothing new. It reminds him of the stony coasts of the Rolingians, way back.
And the people Graham sees, even the women, all look rather durable, showing quite a few scars, mostly at their hands and heads.
Yep, that certainly still fits his stereotype. He will stereotype this place as basically being that. He'll stand here, try to look like he has authority. He's a Thane of the Deep North, so he's led quite a few people in different places. He'll look like he's supposed to be here and that he's important. That usually gets people to not ask or not bother you too much.
Yeah, it turns out that nobody really bothers Graham, or any of you, in fact. You all kind of look like you know what you're doing, or in Dimezz's case, are very easy to just not see. But as it turns out, as you leave the office, whatever it was, there's a person who actually sees Dimezz. Well, or rather, does not see Dimezz as he stumbles into you, quickly apologizing and then disappearing immediately again. But Dimezz did realize that it wasn't just stumbling into him.
Yeah, Dimezz simultaneously tries to keep track of where the person goes and checks his pockets and coin purse, etc.
It is pretty much very hard to keep track of someone in this crowd, but Dimezz notices that nothing is missing. In fact, he finds a piece of paper that really wasn't there before. And on said paper, it simply says... Let me type that out.
Hmm. Okay.
There's no town picture. I couldn't find a good one.
Okay. So. Okay. Dimezz will ask where we want to, like, if we should find a tavern or, somewhere we want to meet. Like, if you guys want to go do stuff, I can look for a tavern and we can meet somewhere, and I'll tell you where, or something like that.
Well, given that
I
none
would
of
say,
us...
well, what is our purpose in being here?
I imagine that we are here to rest up, and then head our way back again to find this merchant. Although I will confess that Jax and his plight has endeared himself somewhat to me, and I would honestly like to help him.
He will need to return back regardless, I imagine.
Well, remember, is Jax here or did he walk away?
He is here.
Okay. He looks around. My suggestion is then to maybe start looking for the man named Rumar. He might know something. He looks over to Jax. You said you didn't recognize the name.
No, as I said, I've never really been here before.
As far as I have learned, my sources, as it were, tell me that it is he who holds the strongest sway over your sweetheart. And that it is he that keeps her in thraldom, more or less. He looks around. I couldn't be too sure. Rumors say that, and he looks very intently at Jax, that she had an egg.
Jax's expression goes from confusion to raising an eyebrow to more confusion to perhaps enlightenment or understanding. Then he frowns again.
I would guess that this rumor keeps it as a contingency, and as such I doubt that she would like to be rescued at this point.
But
I couldn't tell you if it is yours or not, Jax, but I don't think she has that many paramours.
well, if she's kept here against her will, then obviously she has to be rescued. Right?
You will know that.
I mean, Anrakyn nods slightly. As I said, my heart has grown soft for your plight, Jax, and I would like to help.
Carmenot says we have time enough.
Suppose I could at least talk to that person and see if he shrugs.
We need to know who he is. We need to find some information if he runs the city or what power he has of it. Anrakyn sort of looks over to Dimezz. You have a knack for speaking to the shadier side of the community, Dimezz. Perhaps you could lead the investigation.
Perhaps. I can certainly look into it.
In such a place, I'm sure there is a price for anything.
If anyone actually knew how to find someone willing to sell it.
Well, again, he turns to Dimezz. I'm sure someone does.
I don't know why you're all looking at me.
It is your halfling charm. Nods.
Dimezz smiles.
But then again, something tells me if we go around asking questions about him, he's probably gonna find us first.
That works.
In which case, we may want to be somewhat direct about it. And he turns around, looking to the office building. A very likely place to start.
Looks around. That would indeed alert him to our presence. Might want to ask around in some taverns first, perhaps. A little bit subtlety.
He nods, sir, I guess.
I'm not telling you to not do it, Gil-Galad. I'm just...
I rarely ever go after humans. And
cutting out.
start looking for tracks here probably wouldn't help me.
Oh, I think you'd find many, but
Yeah,
Jax
but
looks around at the
specifically
masses
for
of
him.
people.
Tracks for
Yeah.
days.
That's exactly the problem, though. But yeah, we are in a place we haven't really been before, apparently none of us. So finding a place, to have us perhaps, well, a center of, operation, perhaps, could be a good idea.
Sure.
Home base, HQ, base camp.
Anrakyn,
I think so.
Anrakyn stops someone that's passing them and says, "Could you point me in the direction of the nearest inn?"
The grizzled man you stopped frowns down at you, but does point at a building.
Much obliged.
Does have a sign that might have at one point shown a symbol and a name, but now it's just green.
To the green inn, then.
Unless anyone else has any ideas. He smiles and sets course for the green inn.
Graham will follow. Preparing to do that dramatic entrance where Anrakyn walks in and then Graham follows as the muscle.
Yep.
Looking at everyone in there.
Anrakyn will look imperious with his leather coat and many strange vials and scrolls and staff.
The boots making satisfied thuds.
Yep. I have a very hard heel on them for nice click-to-clack when he walks on hard surfaces. And so he enters. Opens
So
the
much
door
for discretion.
dramatically.
We want this guy to find us, right?
I suppose.
As it turns out, the Green Inn is rather full. All the tables are taken, all the chairs, or at least 99% of the chairs are taken. And as you enter, the conversation slows down and goes quiet, and most of the people, most of them muscular, grizzled, huge, with scars, frowns that suggest that they don't know any other emotions. They simply basically stare at you for just a moment as you enter, enough to maybe make normal people uncomfortable, and then they go back to conversing, ignoring you completely.
Well, Anrakyn will stride forward to the bar.
Graham will follow.
Good barkeep. Me and my party of 4 and Jax over there seeks lodgings.
Barkeep frowns at you. Do know that half the town is uninhabitable. You do know that there's people everywhere.
He looks at him. Yes.
Frowns, then smiles. 30 gold pieces per person. Room under the stairs. 2 beds.
And Anrakyn just laughs. Ha! No.
Walks up and says, Do we need a room? Can't we just stand here?
We could. Motions to Adeling.
Yeah, it just stands behind Graham, Deathless, empty eye sockets looking at whatever's in front of it.
And,
Manaki frowns at the ending.
and what if I told you, good sir, that we were undead hunters, here to ply our trade and save your fair city? Would that perhaps change the tone of your voice and the price of the rooms?
You could sell me that thing you have with you. I take that. She points at Edeling.
He can buy that. He could Adeling just stand in a corner for a few days and then just crumble.
Yeah, sir.
No, I wouldn't sell him. You don't sell your people. But this guy can be a jerk all he wants. It's not gonna save him.
Speaking of anti-troubles, wouldn't that have cleared a few rooms out of here? Perhaps we could wait a bit more to clear a few more.
Oh my. I mean, I have this spell called the Bones Beneath that could do a number to this.
Is there a room now?
Oh my god! Well, in that case, I suppose we could always go to one of the abandoned houses. I'm sure we can clear it out and have it as a staging point. Oh, Skype might have died. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, Skype
Hello?
lagged a lot and now it's back.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Well, could we...
Interesting. Does anyone else want to do it?
I mean, I could try. I am streaming and recording and stuff, so it might not be that much
I think
better
it
for
should
me.
be a problem for me generally.
I can
But
try.
I will just continue.
I can try.
Sure?
Mm. Yeah.
Alright.
See if this works a little bit better.
There we go.
Let's find out.
Well, could we perhaps just take like one of the abandoned houses at the edge and just clear it out? And maybe we can use that as a staging point.
There really aren't any abandoned houses. There are houses that look like they should be abandoned, but they most definitely have people in them. There do not seem to be enough houses for the amount of people currently. Also, frantic typing.
So much typing.
Or shoot, I forgot that I, since the call restarted, I needed to mute again.
Let's just find this person we're looking for and then take them out with us. We don't need to be in this city for any longer than we have to.
I suppose. I mean, I don't need to sleep. I don't need a room, technically.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a good place. That is...
And still, some of us kind of do, like...
That's about a good argument for finishing this up in a day.
One
I
day,
mean, if it's
in,
possible,
out,
I'm all in for it, but...
in, out, wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am.
I don't think that this is going to be very, very possible.
We're pretty sure this person won't come with us willingly, so...
No.
We have to find an egg, I believe.
Perhaps if we had someone quite persuasive, that could, try to change this innkeeper's mind.
He seems to hate money, so... that makes it difficult.
I mean, Gil-Galad can sleep under the stars. He really has no problem. Like, he has a
You
tent.
will
and
get
everything.
mugged.
Also, sleeping under the stars in Mayaton and the Fenwood in general, very difficult. There's trees everywhere. You would have to sleep in
Panthers.
the middle of the lake to get a clear view of the
Malaria.
sky.
Even the whole town is covered by trees.
The what?
The town.
Yeah. There's everything that is not lake is trees.
Okay, that's... yeah.
And even part of the lake is trees.
Just like the picture shows.
I mean, climbing the trees.
Mayaton map.
Yeah. Might be worth for prayer, but not generally. Okay, see.
Regardless, let us find a place to sleep later. Let's find this personality first.
Sure.
Mm.
that's what
Yeah.
you guys want to do.
Things
I always
can
enjoyed the
change.
direct approach more. You know me.
You know, I do.
Well, somehow I don't think this is gonna be the usual type of hunting, but sure.
Well, looks to Jax, see what he wants to do.
Well, I want to find Dyson Bell, but I'm not sure how. He shrugs. Suppose we should just look around. Maybe she's somewhere right here. Maybe this whole situation isn't as bad.
We had a name to go after, didn't we?
Yes.
What?
It was. I need to find my token again. Rumor.
Yeah.
Is it a common name?
It's not the kind of name that every second person would have. No,
Sounds
it's not
like
like
he's
John Smith.
Okay.
Hey.
I mean, it is.
Sorry, John.
It is literally the most common name in the world. Well, that's not true,
Yeah.
but the most
Two most
American
common, yeah.
name in the world.
If you need to check into a hotel because you like have an illicit relationship, that's the name you'd use. You know.
I don't know. Mr.
Who are
Johnson.
you? I am Mr. Smith. Oh, okay. Oh, I
Mhm.
getcha.
I'm sure you are.
Exactly. Wink, wink, sir.
I hear this little boat.
Mm. It's actually a very nice looking city, all things considered.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You-
It's like
you
super
like this?
swampy and full of squalor.
It's very graphical though,
This
Look
is a
into the
very
water and
graphical
see like
city.
big shapes move about down there.
Huge
Oh, yeah.
snake
I mean-
like-
Then never return.
Yeah.
Replace drug dealers with happy fishermen. It can be nice.
Sometimes as a house just sinks and disappears in the waves during the night.
You just hear a faint,
Nobody even discovers it.
you just hear a faint
Rarely
pop,
ever
and then they're
happens.
gone.
Let me grab the document.
So we're in a tavern. Couldn't we just ask the tavern for this guy?
Mhm.
Good. If you really want to just slam down your sword and be like, "Aye,"
I don't have super many skills in like investigatory
That-
work.
me neither. I was hoping other people had.
That someone else would be able to do that sort of thing, because yeah.
I'm good at lore and plumbing the depths of ancient tombs
Who,
and stuff like that.
if we need some information found or some person found, what kind of person would we have that could do that?
Hmm.
Someone who's done that sort of thing before.
But the
Anyone
Elderling.
who's ever done anything like finding people or
Spy
investigating or
work, maybe?
following people? No? No one?
Maybe we should post on Reddit to find one.
Yeah.
Or,
That was a low blow. Low blow.
I'm looking for
You know.
someone who can shadow a person, find out where they live, and then bring me there.
I would like to find such a person too.
Is there a table in the
Maybe I
area?
could shadow somebody to find out who could shadow someone.
That's a good idea.
I'll stay here and tell me.
I mean, we can't just be like the person who knocks like in the wall and be like, "Rumor, where is he? 5 gold if anyone can show me him," right? 5 gold might be a bit much, like 8 gold, perhaps.
Yeah, is
We
there a
just do that.
table?
And that's the
in
old
the city?
old-fashioned way of doing things. My people were never used to this whole scheming kind of thing. We weren't really enough people to have this sort of squalor back then.
Well, if you think about it quite reasonably, I mean, no matter how much you pay for, the information and who you ask, unless you really know that someone, the drug dealer probably kind of has them in their pocket already.
Yeah, I mean,
So the discretion is not really that important, but it might help.
well, seems like no one is able to find a person without being direct. So let us be direct.
Well, I can possibly be a little non-direct.
If I may butt in here, this could be a situation where you could find a creative use for relationship dice.
That's what I was thinking, because I did roll a 5 for the outsider.
Mhm.
5s.
May
So-
also work.
Yeah, just to
Sure.
clear things up,
Mm.
Jonas, your Doom 6 and Enemy 6 have been used. The Artist 6 has not.
Well, maybe my artist 6 can be used.
In fact,
then, I
you have a
guess.
poem collection where there's someone who made a poem that really is about they visit the city and they tell a poem on how to find the
maybe
person, the drug dealer person.
But I think Jake said first that he had an idea.
Mhm.
Well, sort of.
Do tell.
Then
More or less. Dimezz says, I think I have a few ideas. I don't know what you guys want to do, but if you can wait here or do other things, I'll be back in a while. I've got some leads to follow up, I hope to find some leads to follow up on anyway, regarding this Hrumar person.
all right. Guess I can indeed just stand here.
In the middle of the crowded tavern.
It's unpleasant. Let's go outside.
Sure.
All these
Middle-
people, such
Middle of the
disorders.
crowded city.
let's find
We-
let's find a corner to skulk in.
I mean, we could grab something to drink.
Go hang out with Strider.
Yeah.
I mean, we could, but you would be the only one drinking.
I mean, Zax is here too, you know.
And you might get violently sick, judging from the look of this place.
You with the swamp ale.
Never really tried.
brewed it from the fetid pits myself.
Buy some death
Then
sticks.
again, there are berries in the swamp that make fine ale, you monster.
If you say so. I have heard vile things about these things. They try to get you addicted to whatever you take. But
So-
go ahead.
Well,
Good.
I think just once won't really be a problem.
First
So-
time's free.
Yes.
As Dimezz wanders off, he'll get a bit away from the rest and then ask somebody, just anybody on the street, excuse me, sir, I was told that if I came here I should visit the Rock Eel. Is that a tavern or a restaurant or some such? Or
The person you stopped, a grumpy looking woman, frowns down at you, nods. Yeah, it's a tavern, but it's one of the. Well, you don't look like the type, but
Oh, you may be wrong. I am the type for most anything, madam.
fist
Oh.
fighting. You. Really? Well, I'd like to
Looks
see
can be
you enter the
deceiving.
Rock Hill tournaments, I suppose.
I want that too. I don't know what that is, but I want it.
So a tournament, you say? What kind of tournament? Fighting? Horse races? What sort?
Horse races. Horses are food here. No, fist fighting.
I
But
see.
yeah, it's a tavern. It's, she describes the way. It's some distance away, but should be too bad.
Well, Dimezz will go there. Just to kind of check things out. He doesn't plan to enter the lists necessarily, but wants to see what's up.
All right, the Rock Eel. Wow, voice crack. The Rock Eel Tavern looks, well, like most buildings, really. Somewhat, well, an architectural miracle, in a sense. It is touching slight outskirts of the lake built on stilts. The building itself doesn't look too terrible. The sign, the name isn't so much readable anymore, but on the sign does seem to be a fish of some sort. And entering the tavern, you have a similar effect as you had before in the other tavern. Although here the momentary silence and the stares aren't just for a moment. As Dimezz kind of stands at the entryway, the stares, the combined synchronous stares of all the different patrons, and the tavern is chock full, like the other one, are continuous. until the barkeep lets out a whistle. The patrons kind of going back to their business as the barkeep waves Dimezz forward, essentially.
Dimezz goes over to the barkeep. As he walks forward, he looks around and sees if maybe he spots the guy who handed him the message.
You do, in fact, spot him, yes.
Interesting.
Sitting at one of the tables.
Okay. So, yeah, I will go up to the barkeep.
The barkeep leans down on the bar, kind of supporting his head with his large fists. Let me actually give you a token to look at.
Dimezz will climb up onto a stool if there's one free, but I doubt it because everyone's standing around.
The barkeep can produce a stool for you. If you look
Excellent. You know, bars are not really my kind of height.
Let's see.
And your
looks
kind
at
of
you.
height.
Slightly more amiable, I guess, positive, less grouchy than the other patrons, although they are certainly not as bad either. The man leans down towards you and in a sort of whisper says, "You are at least 4 months late."
I'm aware of this. Things happened.
Good, well, I suppose the tavern is still here, I'm still here, my company is still here. There's a room for you if you need it, but he's gone. I'm not sure what you're doing still here.
I'm here on separate business.
Sure, I suppose.
I was told, in fact, that the other had left.
All right.
Unfortunately, the situation was out of my control.
I suppose the deal's still good, so I have no objections to you doing whatever you need to do. Name's Sergeant Hemsworth, by the way. These people here, you can trust them. They're my company.
All of them?
All of them, of course.
Excellent.
Some of the patrons actually turn around and wave.
Dimezz nods.
Then go back to drinking. So I was told you wouldn't be arriving here alone.
No, the others of my group are elsewhere in the town right now.
All right. I was also told that you were here looking for someone, but he's gone, but suppose separate business. As long as I get paid, I'm happy.
Yes, of course.
Well,
now, remind me again, it has been quite a while, as you said. How much exactly were you to be paid?
Oh, that's
and have you already been paid?
Oh, that's not your problem. I'm just,
I just wanted to make sure all was in order for somebody that is working with me. I take care of my own.
No, I'm just here to deliver the goods, and in this case, it's a tavern, a quiet tavern for once, with a room. You did tell me to look for I forgot his name, but never saw him. Now he left.
Well, I suppose that can't be avoided.
Yeah, people tend to leave. Especially this place. I would if I could.
Well, I imagine you won't have to stay here for much longer.
That's true. Silver lining. I like you. Goes back to
smiles.
To washing some cups.
Dimezz, looks around a little bit more and says, "Well, when everything is in order, I'll be back."
Sure.
And then
do what it is you do, and I'll do what it is I do, I suppose.
Yep. And then Dimezz leaves. Even more confused than when he went in. But then he will... Well, he doesn't leave, actually. He does wander around the tavern. And he will every now and again, talk to a random person and ask in a quiet voice, whether they were born here or if they came in on a ship. Like here being this country.
Well, Dimezz will very quickly find out that every single patron in this bar does not seem to be from this continent.
Good. Then in that case, he will ask various people, if they have maybe heard of or seen this man Hrumar. And I guess we don't have a description of him, but I'll describe, what I know of him. And see if anyone can give me maybe like a clue or a hint. I'm sure these people don't stand around in the tavern all day.
No, although the information Dimezz gets is not extremely helpful. One of them seems to remember that she might have something to do with one of the bigger fisheries or something.
Okie doke. So, an undead potion seller, alchemist, death man, working at a fishery. Interesting. Well, Dimezz will, go back to the group and report on his findings. He'll say, so I found out a little tidbit about this Hrumar person. He seems to be in league with or working for or working within one of the larger fisheries in the area. If we can find out which, then we may be able to find him there, or at least pick up his trail.
Interesting. So, we could pretend that we were traders trying to get some provision on fish for perhaps provisions for, an elven bridge being built soon next to the Lone Bridge, perhaps.
Perhaps.
We could use that excuse to ask around.
Could indeed.
I suppose our friends are forgetting to breathe yet again, so there is no sound coming from them.
Anrakyn sort of stirs a little bit. Sorry, it's... When I don't have anything immediately to do, I sort of just... He's stand still again.
Browse your favorite website?
What was that?
Yeah, I know.
Come
If you want to go to one of the fisheries to ask around, that is fine with me. Lead the way, and I shall follow.
Yeah, Grandma follows, although he doesn't really say much.
Well, I believe there is some sort of a marketplace.
The
I don't know if
city...
the fisheries would be in a marketplace. More the stalls where the fish is sold.
The city does have a sort of central marketplace-ish. It's not really marked as such, but it is a large place where some markets are, so it could be considered as such.
Are there a lot of stalls selling fish?
Did you know which fishery? I imagine there are quite a few.
No, it's just one of the larger ones, I've been told.
Couldn't have asked which one.
I don't think the person knew who gave me this tip. They just recalled the person under that name and of that description working at one of the large fisheries.
Well, let's go to one of them and ask. If nothing else, maybe they know about their competition.
Well, we could try to size them up, I suppose.
We want to find the guy, right?
Yeah.
How long ago was this this Chananium lady ensnared into all of this?
Jax isn't entirely sure when she would have arrived here, but he does know that she disappeared essentially a couple months ago, 3-4.
Would we still be looking for an egg, or like a baby tenon, basically?
It would still be an egg, most
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Okay, nice.
That's important to know. All right.
Yeah.
Well, if we ask people for a big fishery,
Well, if you ask random people about big fisheries, then most of them will, of course, say yes. I work at so and so's fishery. Turns out that one of those fisheries is in fact called Rumor's Fishery.
where is it?
Where is it?
Well,
Grab him by the neck.
the person that Graham is so directly asking gets big frown on his face for a moment, saying, "Well, it's pretty much lost. It's Lakeside, and you heard what happened to Lakeside, right?"
Yes. Where would I find this rumor then?
Person shrugs. "I have no clue. I don't think he ever made it out."
Well, the building itself. Surely you know where it stood.
"Sure I do. What's in it for me?"
Anrakyn looks over to Graham.
Graham looks to the Edeling.
The
Edeling
person,
looks at his person, walks up behind next to him.
person frowns at the other thing, steps back slightly. "All right, I don't want to know, but you want to know something, so we can help each other." And he will, in fact, provide you a reasonable path to the fishery. It's a bit convoluted because the entire city is convoluted, but you think you can probably find it. He does, however, warn you that you very quickly get into the area of the mist, and that is completely blocked off by Mayaton's not only militia, but even by the private forces some of the people living here employ.
I'm sure they will happily allow us.
To that, he has no real comment, because why would anyone try to go past them? He shrugs.
Yes, but we may still want to ask them about the situation so far before we head in there.
Is there a captain of the guard or something?
I mean, whoever is at this blockade is probably the important person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Or they may just be guards.
Also, John, we didn't sign up with the guard because they wanted 5-year contracts, and we're not into that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Also, we only
I
get
already
paid
have
after
contracts,
5
so-
years. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
We don't really have time for that.
I mean, we do, but we don't want to spend 5 years in this place.
We technically
So not work for
already
these people.
have,
So let us go to the blockaded area.
Okay. Approaching the lakeside, as it were, going away from the shore and towards the mire, as the big lake is called, you very quickly notice two things. One, the crowds of people are getting less and less. And two, from the lakeside, even before you really come into reach of any of the blockades, a thin mist, not unlike what Anrakyn might have seen in his night, seems to be crawling along the pathways and the water. Not much, but enough to be noticeable.
Anrakyn looks at the mist. He frowns deeply.
Is there something wrong?
Maybe. He will try to get closer to inspect it.
Yeah, he doesn't really feel anything from the mist, but it feels like he should, in a sense. And as you reach the blockade, the person saying that they are like soldiers and private forces probably didn't mean this particular blockade. It's a small one on a small wooden pathway, essentially. Some of the wood torn off from the pathway, turned into sort of makeshift spikes, almost in a sense, with a couple of lightly armed, probably again militia people standing there idly. There doesn't seem to be, well, really anything they're currently defending this blockade from. They're kind of just standing there bored, and it doesn't look like they have seen much combat in the past, or in the recent past at least. They do see you approach. They stop their conversations. The half dozen or so people, 5, 6, 7, and frown at you. One of them stepping forward, saying, "Did you get lost?"
No, this is Lakeside, yes.
Suppose it is. And how did... Looks at the otherling. Why doesn't that one want to eat your brains?
It has no entrails. There would be no purpose to eating anything.
All right.
We are somewhat of experts in this matter. We're just passing through, taking a look inside. Anything you can tell us about it?
Well, people there going nuts, wanting to eat each other, shambling about, not responding. Mist. It's creepy, really. And I don't think it's a good idea if you... Although, what do another 4,
Has it
5
been
buddies
spreading?
make? Oh, you could say so. It started at one of the fisheries and mist, and then the people...
Which fishery?
I'm not entirely sure.
How did it start? What was the signs?
Well, it was a day like any other, as rainy and miserable as tomorrow's going to be, probably, knowing my luck anyways. Then just mist apparently billowing out of one of the fisheries, and then screams, people tearing at each other. I wasn't here, of course, otherwise I wouldn't be standing here, but that's the rumors. We haven't seen anything here, but...
It might...
Form of a necromancer, perhaps.
How long ago was that?
A couple days, perhaps, weeks.
As Anrakyn looks at the mist, does this madness grip anyone that has inhaled the mist?
I mean, we've been standing here for far too long than our pay really mumbles. Don't think it's the mist. Looks harmless enough. Always mist around the lake.
I suppose. What is there? What color is the mist?
It's a healthy, translucent white.
Okay, then Anrakyn sort of breathes out a sigh of relief. Well, it seems like we know our destination then. Could you perhaps point us in the direction of Rumar's fishery? Or the remains of it, at least.
He taps his nose. Rumors of... He goes to converse with some of his companions there who have been, well, listening in, to say the least. And one of them does manage to point the way, essentially describing a very similar, although not quite identical way to the way that the person you stopped described you.
Okay.
It's... Well, distances are hard to judge in a city you haven't been before, but from the sounds of it, it's like 10, 20, 30 minutes walk still.
And into the mist we go, dear friends.
Zex is still with us, right?
Oh, yes, yes. I don't have his token with you.
Good. We walk into the mist, following our multitude of instructions to get to this Rumar's fishery.
As we ended.
Tap the staff, and the sickly light flickers to life, shines brightly, kinda, and he will walk into the mist.
As we enter the mist, Gil is gonna turn to Jax and say, This is apparently a dangerous place that changes people. You may want to be prepared for the possibility that your friend is no longer as you knew her.
I don't think I'm willing to accept that quite yet.
He will not really say anything else.
What's his expression?
His expression is gritted teeth mixed with words, with trying to resist certain other feelings, perhaps.
Okay, it's fine. He's had a little bit of underexposure already, hanging out with us, so maybe he's better prepared than most.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like he's trying to suppress fear so much as anger and hatred. Probably not aimed at you, but probably at this rumor person.
Okay.
Let's go find this rumor person's place. His day might be going from bad to worse. So,
Heading into the mist quickly gets denser. It doesn't have the same almost sentient feeling as certain other mists have had before in Anrakyn's experience.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still.
If that had been the case, he would just have looked at the other and just run the fuck away from this place. Never come back.
It's still far too thick and all surrounding, really, to be entirely natural.